My name is Herb, and I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to our Big Book 12-step Zoom workshop. Please join me in prayer for an open mind and open heart. God, please set aside everything that I think I know about myself, my brokenness, the 12 steps in you, for an open mind and a new experience of myself, my brokenness, the 12 steps, and especially you. Please join me in the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. We've been looking at step 4, and we took a step forward in looking at a new piece of work, the prayer for the removal of deep resentment. The Big Book suggests that we do that after we finish the third column. And of course, we haven't finished the third column, but I made a decision, which I've done regularly in my annual workshops, to introduce the pages 66 and 67 as soon after you get some feel for the third column as is reasonable, so that you can begin identifying the deep resentments that you have and getting a little help in having them diminished and removed. And that's the whole point of that material on the prayer for removal of deep resentment. I want to be very clear. I want you to be very clear. It is not a prayer for the other person. It's a prayer for you about the other person. Each one of us, if we have a resentment, especially if we have a deep resentment, have had a negative reaction to some circumstance or event or person. And it's our reaction that needs to be healed. You're welcome to pray for the other person. That's a wonderful spiritual practice, but it's not what's suggested here in the Big Book. It's a prayer for ourselves, for our own healing. As I've mentioned, inviting the divine surgeon, or whatever it is that you've decided is the power in the universe, to come and radiate that cancer in you, to burn it out, or to have the surgery analogy, to cut it out, or to have the chemotherapy analogy as a chemical mechanism to disintegrate that cancer. Because the last thing we want is any seed of a cloud in us of darkness. Because that cloud metastasizes over time. The darkness expands and it squeezes out the light. It squeezes out the power. It squeezes out a relationship that protects us from our obsession. And that's the whole point. Identifying and removing the obstacles. And Bill said, and we saw it on page 66, what he had said on page 62. On page 62, with regard to unmanageability, he said we can't even reduce it much by wishing or trying on our own power. We're as powerless over our unmanageability and spiritual malady as we are over alcohol. That's the whole point of step 1, unmanageability. And the whole point here of step 4, in terms of resentment, is illustrated there on page 66. These resentments must be mastered. But how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. Bottom of page 66. It couldn't be clearer. It doesn't need interpretation. The meaning is very 8-inch headlines. We're as powerless over our deep resentment as we are over alcohol, therefore we pray. And so today I would like to hear from you concerning your deep resentments and your prayer practice, whether or not you're doing it, and if you are doing it, what your experience is. But mostly I want to focus on the third column. As I think I mentioned last time, we will hold off on unpacking the fourth column until we maybe next week. I'm pretty confident next week, although you've had the assignment to read that last paragraph. It's pretty straightforward. It has 5 questions in it on page 67. And I've indicated that if you want to experiment, do a sort of a beta test site with your column 4, you're welcome to do that. And I'm welcome to attempt to help you confirm and or clarify unpacking the fourth column if you've done some work there. But I want to stay really focused on column 3, as well as whatever comments you want to make on the removal of deep resentments.
Or I resent Jackie for calling me stupid for taking her keys. And it says, what is my deep belief about who I am? And I said that I'm extremely intelligent and I have great abilities.
Yes.
What is my fear? That my family will see me as being stupid.
Okay.
And then my pride, how do I want other people to see me as being treated? And I said, others should see me, or others should see Jackie treating me as a queen who can do no wrong.
Yeah.
What is my fear? That my family won't see me as a queen.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do I want to happen? On the ambition part, and I wasn't sure how that. I wasn't sure what I'm.
Well, what would you have wanted?
I mean, I would have wanted not to have accidentally taken her keys.
Okay, but given the fact that you did, what would you have wanted her reaction to be?
Okay, so I put that down under personal relations, but I would have wanted her reaction to be, okay, don't worry about it. Just bring them back.
Yeah, I understand an accident. So that's
yes, I understand the accident. Okay.
But then personal relations is more about the model of what your expectation is from other people when you make a mistake.
Okay. So what I would want to happen, I would have wanted her to, just say, okay, mistakes happen. Can you bring my keys home?
Yeah.
Okay. And then for the security, what do I need in order to be okay and why? And I just said, I need love and understanding.
That's great. Why?
And why? Because I'm a sensitive soul. I mean, I'm very sensitive.
All right.
And
my feelings get hurt easily.
Okay. My feelings get hurt easily.
All right. And what's your fear?
The people will see that about me and not like me.
Okay. Yep. Good. All right.
So under the personal relations, how do I expect this relationship should be? And I said, I expect this relationship to be perfect.
Yeah.
Which is not real, but we're supposed to be putting down what we really think.
Well, but it's you're searching to see what you actually believe.
I do. I believe it should, it should be perfect. We should be like sisters.
People should cut me a lot of slack.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And your fear?
Well, what you said about, people cutting me slack, that is how I feel. And I guess my fear would be that, I don't know, that struggling a little bit here. Because I just want people to treat me, just be forgiven.
Yeah.
I make a mistake.
Yeah, my fear is there's no margin for error.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that's right.
Okay.
And under this sex part, a real ideal model woman, I think, should always be loving, kind, and tolerant, motherly like or grandmotherly like.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And your fear is?
That they won't be. They'll rip me to shreds.
Yeah.
Or say something that really hurts me or cuts deep.
Right.
And I didn't know about this pocketbook business.
Well, what about the value? Emotional value.
Well, my effective value is the emotional security.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Nothing should interfere with affect.
Everybody should intuitively know how such a sensitive Susie I am.
Okay. Okay.
Does that resonate with you?
It does. I just was struggling when I got down to that part because I wasn't sure
Sure.
how to do it.
Yeah, no, you're doing fine. You're quite clear. I think you just need a little bit more confidence in yourself. Your instincts are quite good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. What fear would you have there? What's your fear of not being recognized as a sensitive human being?
I mean, that I don't know, that people will just, discard me.
Yeah, discard me and continue to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. All right, good.
Okay.
And so I put, when I resent Darlene, my biological mother, for giving me away, it says, the deep belief about who I am. I said, I am an adorable infant, helpless and needy. My complete dependence is on you for my safety. And I completely need you right now as an infant.
Yeah. And your fear?
My fear is I am not wanted, I am helpless, and I am alone. I am alone, cold, and hungry.
Okay. All right.
Pride. Others should see Darlene treating me as her last born baby girl, the most beautiful of all the children. My name means light. She should hold me up for all to see my infant body. All my siblings should bow. This is when we're supposed to go here, right? My siblings are supposed to bow and thank me for being born last. My mother holds me close to her and whispers, I am her favorite. Then she feeds me, sings to me a special song that is not sung to others. She holds me tight until I fall asleep. She says to everyone, this one is so special. I love her so much.
Nice. And you really dug deep into the feelings about that. And what's your fear?
I am replaceable. I'm just another child. They'll abuse me too.
All right. And ambition?
I want Darlene to hold me, breastfeed me, cuddle me, talk to me, show me her strength and the reason for being, and that being born a woman is a good thing. And my fear is I have no mothering. I missed her so much. And my fear is I didn't want anyone to know how much I really missed her.
Right.
No way.
Security?
I need Darlene to say she is sorry for being weak and giving me away, for being abused and not standing up, and to leave me alone. My worth is zero, just like they said it was.
And your fear?
I was just too much. It's my fault that I was given away. Personal relations. I expect mothers to be there for their daughters, to show female love and strength and guidance. I expect mothers to be strong, ambitious, fearless, and bold.
And your fear?
That women are only here to have pain and suffering, and female worth will always be, in my family of origin, will always be struck down and worthless.
Okay. All right.
sex relations. I think a man should always be there to protect and love his wife and children, to love his wife and hold her in high esteem, to nurture his daughters and teach his sons how to love women, be respectful and be strong, kind, faithful, honorable, and handsome. And my fear is my father was none of those things. He's a child molester, abusive, and I can't read the last part, mentally something. And I put, a woman should always love her husband, be honorable, integrous, multi-talented, magical, strength, lays in femininity. She shows her daughters the path to self-expression, communication, and how to be loved and loved back. She is beautiful, soft, rugged, and durable. She is a goddess, a force to be reckoned with. And my fear is my parents showed me none of those things. And security is emotional security. Parents should always have cared for me and taught me the magic of being loved, rich, and happy. And I said, my fear is my parents are failures, therefore so am I.
And one of the areas that you could look at it, and I think you did in many of the areas, was your ideal mother and your ideal daughter. I think you kind of expressed that as part of some of the other responses that you had. So as you wrote this and as you read it out now, it clearly had, even when you're reading it out, had some impact on you. Do you want to talk about the experience that you've had with this, looking at this?
My experience is, first of all, the set-aside prayer is super powerful because I didn't even know that was in there. Mm-hmm. I had come to terms logically with being given away, but it was like I bypassed being given away to everything else. And like I found a way to be in the world and be powerful and feminine, but I never took the time to really grieve that I didn't have my mom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. When did you find out or were made aware that you were adopted?
I was given away at 8 months. To my grandparents. So I knew that I didn't live.
I see. Right from the beginning, you knew your grandparents were raising you. I see. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So did it tell you anything? Did it help you in determining some of your beliefs?
Yes. The beliefs, I have to tell you, I was shocked the whole time I was writing. I didn't know what I really believed about myself. I didn't know. It was like I didn't know what I didn't know. It's like kind of the stuff you've been talking about. Yeah. I just didn't know.
Yeah. And that's the benefit of doing the work at a different time with a different guide. Your consciousness is different. And at this point, you're ready to thaw out at a deeper level, to see some of the truth of stuff that's just in there. And it's probably got negative vibrations coming out of it, even though you're not aware of it, like you're experiencing now. Yeah.
And yet it kind of feels like I'm under the wave. Like they always say that underneath resentment or anger is something else, right? So I feel like that was the wave, and I'm like underneath in the water, actually coexisting okay with this work. If that makes any sense at all.
It does, and there are other names that you could explore, and I think you've even mentioned it, and that would be the grief and sadness that comes in sort of hand in hand with some of this realization. Yep. And once again, then getting to the fourth column sort of brings out the current truth of your reaction to all of this, because what you talked about was, quite frankly, ancient history. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not that it doesn't make it relevant, but it's just the history, which we can't change. We have feelings about it, but we can't change the history. And then the fourth column allows us to make a decision as to, so bring it current now, and how do I want to live? What do I want my attitude to be about it?
So when I resent Alina for accusing me of dumping our father back on her, did it hurt, threaten, or interfere with my self-esteem? So the first one is, what's my deep belief about who I am? And I wrote, I'm a better caretaker for him than she ever could be. I'm a sober, professional nurse and a kind and loving woman. My fear is that I may have been a little relieved to have him go back to New York, and that she's right, that I'm not capable, and that I don't have what it takes to caretake him 24/7.
Okay. Yep. There's no right or wrong answer. There's just your feelings about it.
Okay.
I'm saying that not because you're not clear, but to make it, I'm reinforcing the clarity that you have to other people on the call, because they're listening how you're doing it and measuring how they've done it to try to learn more effectively how to unpack it. So those are the comments I'm making. Go ahead with the
Okay. Okay, perfect. So my pride, how do I want other people to see me being treated by my sister? They should see Alina treating me as a respectful, equal member of the family, an experienced nurse in my scrubs, my stethoscope, and these days in my PPE. And get a load of that. And my fear is that she doesn't respect me and she may never forgive me. My ambition, I want the prestige of having done all the footwork for our father, for having shopped for the right independent living for him. After interviewing several of them, I bought all the furniture, a piece at a time in secondhand stores, fixed them up and moved him into his apartment in the independent living. So when he arrived, it was perfect. And then when he decided he didn't want to live there anymore, I got him out of the contract, moved him into my home, took care of him. And then when he said he was done with Arizona and wanted to go back to New York, I helped him pack everything up, ship it to New York, arranged somebody to meet him at the airport, and for his neighbors to get his condo ready. That's, and my fear is that she didn't know any of the work that went into it. And quite frankly, she doesn't really care.
There you go. Yep.
Security, what do I need in order to be okay? I need my sister to get along with me. We're a small family, and she's the only sister I have living in the United States, and really the only reliable family member. I don't know what my fear is about that.
Well, what comes up?
I'm just afraid that it's just never gonna get fixed.
All right, that's a decent answer. Write it down. Yeah.
Okay. My personal relations, how do I expect this relationship to be? I expect her to be cooperative, easygoing, calm, loving, a sweet sister.
And your fear.
And my fear is I'm not seeing who she really is.
Yeah. Has she ever been that?
No. It's been a bullying relationship, which I never realized until this. And my what do I expect a man to be? Reliable, calm, a good leader, and a woman kind, soft, loving, nurturing. Pocketbook, what am I afraid?
What's the fear in both those cases? Don't just come with it from your gut right now.
My fear is that she's the worst of both sexes.
Okay. All right. No right or wrong answer. There's just your spontaneous. Actually, you got very much quickly in touch with it. So yeah.
No, this was the captain of the varsity softball team. She's tough. She's like she'll run you down. She's a tough woman.
Pocketbook.
Yeah. How has it affected my value? I know my fear, but I didn't know what my, nothing should interfere with, affect, or lessen my, well, it doesn't affect my value.
Yeah, it
Can I
does.
just tell my fear is
No.
that
Yeah, go ahead with the fear.
it's that as our parents get close to death, illness, caretaking, even the wills, that this is all going to be a struggle now, instead of us just calmly splitting everything and lovingly.
No, you can count on it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So pocketbook is, and we could put it in a very appreciative way, is like everyone should see intuitively my goodness and competency and never criticize me.
I like that.
I'm sure you do.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, but so you're very clear. I mean, yeah. So as you wrote it out and now as you read it out, what is your experience with it?
Well, I was having that experience. That's why the prayer that I started with changed at the end, and that was where I said, "Help me let go of the sister I wish I had, and to accept the one that I do have." So that's been my experience.
Yeah.
That this may never get resolved, and I am completely powerless over her and what she thinks of me.
Yes, yes. And there'll be other comments I'll make when you do the fourth column.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Herb.
Because you're right, you cannot change her,
Right.
but you can be the person that you want to be despite her.
Ooh, I'm going to take you up on that one.
Well, but that's the only choice that you have.
Right.
You could be a hurt, self-pitying sister, and then it will just aggravate the situation. Or you could be a patient and tolerant and loving and kind sister, holding up your own standards, not to shame her, but to perhaps support her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't quite picture it with boundaries, but I'm going to trust.
Well, but it's not about setting up boundaries to her. It's about becoming who you are, holding your center of gravity deep inside yourself, rather than attaching it to her feelings about you. Because you're allowing her to name you, and an adult names themselves and holds that. I'm a nurse, I'm competent, I'm a kind and loving person, I'm diligent, and I'm effective. And if you don't see it that way, I'm sorry, but it's your problem, not mine. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a spiritual awakening. That turnaround is a spiritual awakening. And you see it in the world today, especially in the headlines. Nobody thinks that way. Everybody blames everybody else instead of taking full responsibility for holding their own integrity.
Right. And that goes along with, I had that feeling that if she thought I was capable of dumping my dad back on her, what could I possibly even answer to that? Like, that if that's who somebody thinks that I am.
That's her problem.
Yeah.
Don't make it your problem.
Right.
You know the truth. Now, the only thing that I do, I listen to other people's feedback to determine if there's something in it that I can learn that I'm not seeing. Because I have, and Crystal mentioned it, I have this awful deficiency in me that I don't see reality as it is. I see reality as I want it to be. And that's delusion. Now, I have invited my 2 adult daughters to give me feedback, which they're very willing to do. But fortunately, they're both 30 years in a program, so they are kind about it and circumspect. So most of the time.
Yeah.
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 I
But,
hear you.
but you're in charge of how you feel about yourself. That's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody said that. She said, you're a tree with roots. You don't get blown. You're not a bush that gets blown away by the strong wind that just comes along. And yeah. Thanks, Herb.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I often say that life is filled with speed bumps, but this work gives me adequate shock absorbers. I'm able to go with the flow and more or less make it smooth because I can adjust to reality as it emerges.
Ooh, thank you so much.
You bet.
I resent my brother for being withholding, cold, unaffectionate, dishonest, and judgmental.
All right. And what's your self-esteem?
That I'm a generous and kind and warm person.
And your fear is?
And my fear is that I'm seen as weak, unworthy, stupid, not enough, and not worth bothering about, answering questions or being acknowledged.
All right. And your pride? How do you want other people to see him treating you?
Others to see me as caring and loving and giving to this family that's hurting. And my fear is that they will always treat me as insignificant, ignoring me, and unlovable, being unseen.
All right. Ambition?
My ambition is that I want acknowledgement and respect, and praise and gratitude and kindness from them, from my brother. And my fear is that I am mocked and name called and made fun of. And
What do you need and why?
my security, I need to be acknowledged that I'm seen and heard. And some verbal appreciation.
Did you answer the question why?
Because it validates me.
Okay.
It makes me,
I get my sense of value from what other people think about me.
or just know that I'm seen, that where I'm a person.
Okay.
Um,
And your fear?
is that I'm not wanted,
Mm-hmm.
I'm invisible, and ignored.
Say it again, the last one.
Ignored.
Ignored, all right. And personal relations?
I expect family to support each other and be affectionate, forgiving, and kind.
And your fear is?
And my fear is that I'll be yelled at or criticized, sneered at, and made fun of.
Okay, yeah. Gender roles?
I believe that men should be chivalrous, that everybody should be acknowledged, men and women, not just men.
And your fear?
My fear is that men are unreliable and they'll use me in difficulties and then just reject me.
All right. And what about women? What's your model?
I didn't write anything for women.
Say it again.
I didn't write anything for women.
Well, you're on the other half of this equation. You're talking about your brother, I think, as your resentment, and you're the sister. Well, why didn't you write something about women and or sisters as a model? What? Make it up right now. What's your vision of a model sister?
She should be first. No, she should have self-esteem and not reliable, not relying on others.
Okay. And when you say that, what fear comes up?
That I have no value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To others or to yourself?
Probably both.
Yeah. That's why that's why I asked the question, because that's what I saw. Yeah. You're very clear. All right. And what about pocketbook?
Nothing should affect my reputation, self-esteem, and well-being. But my fear is that I'll be seen as frail and a problem,
Yeah.
not wanted and put aside.
Yeah. Or not seen at all.
We're not seen at all. Well, I'm not now, so.
Yeah, you made both of those points, which were interesting.
Right,
I'll be ignored, or I'll just not be seen.
right.
Yeah.
And when I resent Cindy for not being faithful to me.
Yes. How long were you married?
4 years.
All right. What's your self-esteem?
I am the most kind, loving, generous husband, best lover, caring, good listener, good provider, of being capable of being intimate, great kisser and dancer, also handsome.
Well, there you go. Wonderful. And your fear?
Is that narcissistic?
No, that's probably a very healthy description of who you are.
Okay. My fear is I'm unattractive, different, unwanted, and rejection.
Okay. Yep. That's just a feeling. So pride.
Others should see Cindy treating me as being fortunate and lucky to have me, her arm around me, smiling with joy, expressing her gratitude about me being the love of her life, best friend forever.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And your fear?
Others see the real story, that I'm embarrassed, I'm a lie, but they see the lie, but I don't. People see my unhappiness, gossip about me, and people won't like me.
All right. All right. Yep.
Ambition.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to happen? I want to be loved and have intimacy with my spouse and keep commitment made before God in our vows.
Yep. And your fear?
Rejection, deceit, jealousy is what I wrote.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Security. What do you need and why?
I wrote I need to be loved. Why? Because everybody wants that.
Not a good reason. Why do you want it? Not because other people want it. Nope.
Okay.
What just comes, what bubbles up, what thought comes up, what feeling comes up? Why do you want to be loved?
What came up was because I wasn't loved by my parents.
All right. To kind of give some evidence that I'm lovable.
Okay.
That works. Good. All right. What about personal relations?
I expect wives should be faithful, loving, and have open communication. Cindy should have seen the love I had for her and valued that some people never or only get it once in a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. And your fear?
Rejection,
Yeah.
unfaithful.
There you go. Yeah. Gender?
I wrote, for men, they should be faithful, strong, caring, providing, defending, supporting, unconditional loving, and confident.
And your fear?
Not capable of having a relationship and that something is wrong with me.
All right. Yep. And woman?
The same.
Really?
Same.
Okay. All right. Same fear?
Yeah. I just, I guess I was focusing on how a man should be and how a woman should be. And if a woman's not that way, I would fear, that something's wrong with me, maybe.
That works. That works. Yeah, you can be consistent. It's fine. Yeah. Pocketbook.
I wrote down emotional security. I wrote down heartbroken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my fear is I get so disturbed, out of control. I'm oversensitive.
All right. Yeah. It's just a fear. It's not a fact. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just what is. All right, good. So as you wrote it out, and now as you read it out, have you got an experience with any of your beliefs?
Well, as I wrote it, I just sat with the sadness I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I guess grieving, it really doesn't make sense, but love is blind is what I wrote down.
Okay.
And my beliefs is, I wrote down it was a bad experience for both of us. And I believe that a relationship with me during the peak of my addiction is impossible. And in my 20s, that was the peak of my drug and alcohol addiction.
Okay, you'll look at some of that in your fourth column. You'll look at your own behavior. You'll look at your perception of her behavior and your underlying motives and that kind of thing. Okay, so do you see anything about a unhealthy belief here in the work that you've done so far? I don't yet see it myself. I have some suspicion, but go ahead.
An unhealthy belief. I guess what I picture, just to answer your question, I can put down on paper all these things, that I'm a good husband, good father, good provider, a child of God, a good person, but I don't believe that stuff.
Some of it, that's probably true, especially the lovable part. That was part that you did reveal.
And that I'm too hard on myself. And I'm just feeling sad and kind of going blank, or I want to escape.
I understand. And how long ago was the separation?
We divorced when I was probably 40 years.
Okay, so it's still a major wound in you.
Yeah, I've been married for, it'll be 30 years in June.
Yeah.
And a great woman, love her dearly, and this doesn't make sense, but it's me,
it does.
Me.
It's your history, and now you're dealing with it. Yeah. You're thawing out to deal with this that's never really been dealt with effectively. No?
Correct.
So, but you did reveal something. So during that marriage, you were drinking?
Oh, yeah. Drinking, the peak of my 11-year cocaine addiction.
There you go. Yeah.
Drug of choice was more.
Yeah. So you were a particularly wonderful spouse to be with all that, right?
Well, with her, for a supplier of her addiction, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But
that's not what I had in mind, is it?
I think you were being sarcastic, right?
I think I was.
So you said you had something in mind when you were asking me.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing that?
No, I don't. In fact, I have thought whether to share it or not, and I did conclude I would share it, and that is, you gave me some information that really helped understand the situation when you talked about that you were drinking, and now you've just amplified that. But I'm also wondering, how naive were you at that time?
Yeah, my friends knew. I had a very good friend that told me not to marry her.
Yeah.
And he knew before.
There you go.
It was just tunnel vision.
Yeah, sure. I mean, at 20 years old or 25 years old, absolutely. We can't make a mistake, and we're going to go with our feelings. And absolutely. I'm not judging it. I just it sort of seeped out of the way you were talking that it probably was on your part, was part of a naivete of not seeing who she really was.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But more of that will come out in the fourth column.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No. Wonderful work. Good.
I resent, I'm talking about a priest who was a boss of mine for how he chose to handle my resignation from a parish staff position.
All right.
My self-esteem, I'm competent and I'm good at what I do. I'm generous and caring and ministered well to the people of that parish. I'm a community builder and work proactively to build good rapport and relationships. And I'm a hard worker.
Excellent. Nice. Nice bio. All right. And what's I mean it. And what's your fear?
That I am too much and not enough. Too much intensity, too much expectation of others, too demanding, that I have to somehow play small or I overwhelm people. And the not enough part is that no amount of hard work, collaborative spirit, humor, expertise, success was going to please him or get him to like me. The parish and my fellow staff should have seen him praising my exceptional work.
Yeah.
We are so lucky. Of all the parishes she could have chosen to work, she chose us.
Yeah.
We have the best music and liturgy in the archdiocese and the best formed ministers. And our children's choir is beyond compare. I've really gone for it.
That's good.
This new sanctuary we've built could not have come together without her. She has saved my ass again and again, and we have her to thank for keeping this parish going.
Yes. Oh, really?
I went for it. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And your fear is?
That ultimately I fooled them all, that I work hard to make up for and cover up my deficiencies, and that no amount of hard work, excellence will make me pleasing, and that I'm dismissible.
Okay. All right. And ambition?
What I want is closure, a conversation about what happened. I was totally blindsided by him. After what I didn't know there was a problem. He was happy to get rid of me. I want an apology. And I put in parentheses, maybe even reconciliation. I have this kind of strange thing of, I'd like for us to make up.
Right. No, that's fine. It's just what is. Don't judge it, and don't apologize for it. Don't filter it. It's just what is. I would not only like to have him apologize, but I would like in my wildest fantasy is a reconciliation. Yeah. All right. What's your fear?
That he has absolutely no need or interest to do that. He was relieved to have me go.
Yeah. All right. And security, what do you need and why?
I need peace and reassurance that I did the best I could in that situation, given all the surrounding factors and players. And because I want to know that I mattered there. And my fear is that I didn't matter and that I was not enough, ultimately.
Yep. Personal relations?
This relationship should have been professional, honest, mutually supportive, transparent, trusting, and pleasant. And my fear is that he had no interest in who I was. I was ultimately a thorn in his side and expendable.
Okay, all right.
And the gender, I did like the model pastor. Should be a strong leader, a person of integrity, humble, caring, able to have difficult conversations and still continue the relationship, supportive and empowering of his staff.
Yeah, your fear is?
Can I do the model woman?
Oh, no, do the fear, please.
The fear, even being all or most of the things that I've said about a model woman, I will never be respected, liked, or appreciated.
I see why you wanted to read the other one first now, but go ahead. Yeah.
Like the model woman or the minister in the church should be joyful, well-educated, competent, collegial, empathetic, energetic, funny, flexible, creative, trustworthy, and nice to be around.
Yeah, and that's your bio, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's your fear?
Well, it's exhausting to try and be all of those things. And I fear that if I'm not that I won't be respected. I won't be appreciated.
Oh, so you're not enough unless you are too much.
I guess.
No, yeah, you really hit home, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Oy.
Well, because I can relate to it. My low self-esteem was countered by my arrogance, overcompensation. Yeah. That really resonated with you. That's great. Good. So where are we here? Pocketbook?
Pocketbook. Nothing should interfere with or lessen my genuine love for the work I do and the people I do it with.
And your fear?
No amount of credentials or personality traits will win someone over. And
Okay.
if I can't win them over, then what?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to make a note here of something. So how long ago was this departure?
This was actually in the fall of 2017. So it's been a while.
Well,
3 years.
A long time. It's been 3 years. So yeah, I understand it. Okay. But I mean, it's been a long time if you need work, but it's not a long time in terms of a history. Okay. Yeah. So I could see where the thought of apology and reconciliation is still a potential. If it had been 20 years ago, of course, then we're talking about fantasy. That's all I was asking about. So as you wrote it out, and you're very clear in your approach, and you expanded it. What's your experience with your belief system here?
Well, I think I believe I have to work really hard to be accepted, liked, taken seriously.
Yeah.
And I realized why I'm often am so exhausted, because I feel like I have to work so hard.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where my comment had really relevance. I am not enough, therefore I have to be too much. And that's exhausting. Yeah, because there's no upper limit to that, because there's no lower limit to the other side of it. Yeah. But you also made a comment about, and you made it several times, about him liking you rather than appreciating actually what your competence is and what you do.
Yeah.
And you made a connection which may or may not be realistic in the situation, and so I'm just raising that up. But then you just said something right now, and I'm see if it teases out something in you. You said, I need to be taken seriously. Why is that?
Because I'm good at what I do.
I understand that, but okay, I would have said appreciated my competence. Maybe that's what you meant by that. Yeah. All right. So I'll go back to the question though about your beliefs. Is there any belief in this reading or this experience that is, from your standpoint, noteworthy? Yeah. The place where I started crying and had to take a break was when I was talking the security piece, the why. And my response was because I want to know that I mattered. And so I think there is some belief, I don't know exactly how to articulate it, but that
I will only matter if I do enough.
Yeah.
I will only matter if I'm seen as competent.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And that makes me tear up right now.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to work really hard to get them to see what I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But underneath what I think I see is I really feel like I'm a fraud. So I have to work really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to do therapy here, but
Yeah. No.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. But again, hang on and do the fourth column and see what is revealed in that once we get through the instructions on that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
What do you do when the people are dead and you still have a
Does it
resentment?
matter whether they're dead or not? Do you have a resentment?
Yes.
Oh, so their being alive or dead is irrelevant. The resentment is alive in you.
Right.
So did you do a third column?
I did a third column on both of them, but I was able to share one of them with my homework group.
Okay.
So I unpacked it with them. And there is one that I haven't unpacked yet. So
What
I
would
guess
you like to do?
Hmm?
What would you like to do right now?
I think I'd like to do the one that I haven't unpacked yet.
All right.
And my set aside prayer is, Spirit, help me to come to this work with beginner's mind, and let me be open to the insight and knowledge you send me.
Nice.
When I resent my mom for not protecting me from my dad's abuse, did it hurt, threatened, or interfered with my knowing that I'm a precious and vulnerable child who deserves protection?
And your fear is?
My fear is that I am a bad seed, a wicked and mouthy child who is bad and rude and deserving of punishment.
Yeah. Yeah. And your pride?
Right. I'd like to see my family. I'd like to see my dad, actually, especially my dad, seeing my mom treating me as someone worthy of protection from abuse, someone who loves me unconditionally.
Yes. All right. And your fear?
My fear is she'll be too afraid of my dad to protect me.
Okay. Ambition?
I want my mom to stand up to my dad when he's raging and abusing me.
Yep. And your fear?
My fear is that she won't, because I'm not worth her standing up to him. She'll choose herself.
Yep. Security?
I need to know I am in need. I need her to know I am in need of love and protection because I am her precious child.
And your fear is?
Oh, do you want why?
Sure.
So I can be safe and know I'm worthy of love and protection.
Yeah.
And my fear is I'm not worth protection and love because I'm bad. Personal relations. I expect mothers to accept love and protect their children unconditionally.
Right.
And my fear is that mothers won't protect a child that fights back because she gets what she deserves.
Got it.
A real model man should always be gentle and kind, strong in convictions, and always growing spiritually. And my fear is I'm afraid of men's ability to explode in anger and violence at any time. A real model woman should always be loving, fights for what's right, and protective of those less fortunate and vulnerable. And my fear is that I'm on my own no one is on my side and no one can protect me.
Yep.
And pocketbook, emotional security, material security, and my feelings of self-worth. And my fear is I feel I'll always end up alone because I'm not worthy of kindness and love. I feel that I am an unlovable person.
Yeah. And so as you wrote it out, and now as you read it out, again, I'm confirming you're very clear in the way you approached it. What's your experience with your beliefs?
I just feel like the whole time I was reading it, and when I was writing it too, like I'm on the verge of tears, but the tears aren't coming.
Yeah.
But I also, my belief, I think, is that I am somehow so flawed. I think what this is giving me is that
Yeah.
there's a really deep belief in me that I am so flawed,
Yeah.
that I am unlovable, and
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You talked about the bad seed and
There was a movie when I was little
yes.
called The
Yes.
Bad Seed. She was
Yes.
a little girl
I
and she
remember the
murdered people. Yeah.
but it was a recurring theme throughout that in fact you deserved the punishment because you weren't worthwhile. And so I just have to ask the question because I'm curious, what are you conscious of as to when this took place, all of this physical, emotional abuse in terms of time frame? How old were you?
I remember from the time I was little, my
Yeah.
dad having these
Yeah.
explosions. And then
Yeah.
the last one was when I was already grown up.
Yeah.
And
So
that,
it was your lifetime experience.
yes.
Yeah. That was my intuition on it, that it was, yeah, the way you've been formed and deformed in your family of origin. And so the belief that you have that you just articulated, is it appropriate? Is it healthy?
I think it's appropriate, but I don't think it's,
No, it's
no.
not. No, wait. I don't think you're under 21.
No.
I
No,
think
but the last time it happened was when I was in my 20s.
wait, you're not hearing me.
Okay.
You are sitting here looking at me, and I know you're not 21 years old, right? You're somewhat beyond 21 years old.
Yeah, a lot.
I'm being
15 years.
delicate. Right. So so your parents are no longer relevant any longer. But your feelings about and reaction to that time period is very relevant.
Right.
But it's not them doing it to you now, it's you doing it.
No, yeah, I know that.
Ah, so it's not appropriate,
Oh,
this feeling.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I can explain it.
Mhm.
We can analyze it and understand where it came from. But for you to hold it at this point is not appropriate. It's not healthy. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe the fourth column, my experience, brings around the corner so that we're then willing to release it. I'm doing this with my hands because when I looked up the definition of forgiveness in the dictionary, it said a decision to release them. A decision to release them. And when I release them, I am released. And my experience with the fourth column was the beginning of the forgiveness process. But it didn't finish until I finished the ninth step.
Uh-huh.
So you're in play right now. That's why, and I'm using this moment as a teaching moment, not just for you, but for everybody on the line that can relate to you, because there's many people that had very almost parallel experiences. They could take your story and own it themselves. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Well, it's weird because the other person that I did the third column on is somewhat later in my 30s. I got involved with an abusive man.
Of course you did.
And yes, exactly. But it is so weird because, and after I got out of that situation, I went right to therapy.
Yeah.
And she pointed out that they had the same name, my father and this man.
Wow. That's
They were
weird.
born the same year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, pretty crazy in the sense that pretty unhealthy, but
Mhm.
totally predictable.
Right. Because she said, I think she thought that maybe I was trying to go back and change it, you know.
Maybe. Yep. Yep. We try to repair the damage of childhood with the fantasy that we can have a better childhood. It's a fantasy.
Right.
We will never have a better childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we don't know that until we know that.
My resentment is towards my dad, and the resentment is for hitting me with a board when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And there were many other abuse cases too around
I'm sure,
that same
but
time.
your self-esteem.
My self-esteem is I'm a beautiful, valuable, cherished, precious human being that has a right to be here.
And your fear.
And this is really hard.
Yeah.
I don't believe that I'm enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some of this work is really hard. Yep.
Yeah, it's been kind of coming up since we started this session today. So, I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. And your pride?
I want others to see my dad as treating me as a princess that is smart, beautiful, cherished, and a loving daughter.
Yep.
And
fear?
And my fear is that I'm not valuable.
Yep.
My ambition is that I want him to apologize. And my fear is that it would never have happened. He died when I was a teenager.
Right. Yep.
Security is what I need is to forgive him. And why is because he didn't know any better. That's what I believe. It doesn't matter. And I want to be free.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm.
And what I believe is with God's help, I have no fear about this. I don't have any fear that I'll be able to forgive him.
All right.
Especially with that wonderful prayer you wrote.
All right.
And the personal relations, what do I expect? I expect fathers to treat their little girls with love and respect and to be a good role model. And what do I fear? That I'm not lovable, that I'm unlovable.
Yeah.
And the gender relations, a real man should control his temper with regards to dealing with disciplining their children and be a good role model and provide unconditional love.
Yeah.
And my fear is it wouldn't have happened. And I'm afraid of men that raise their voice or rage.
Yep.
And a model woman should control their temper. It's the same thing, basically. And I fear that it wouldn't happen as well. But I don't have any fear of women raging or raising their voice. I've not experienced that.
Yeah.
And pocketbook is no one. Let's see. I'm trying to read my writing. No one should affect my emotional well-being. And I wrote, I felt abandoned. I don't trust people and I don't feel safe in the world.
Yeah. All right. Now, as you wrote it out and as you've read it out, it began to open you up some. What's your experience with the beliefs that were revealed?
A lot more painful than I realized.
Mm-hmm. Did you see any beliefs there that need to be examined? I didn't, so I'm just asking you, what did you see?
Yeah, I think I need to probably be a little bit more open-minded when it comes to my beliefs about men.
Okay, all right. So it could, yeah, thank you. That's a good insight that some of your beliefs about men were corrupted by your relationship, your poor relationship with your father. And
Right.
that's too broad a brush, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be open to it as you are, and especially as you do that fourth column. I think a lot of things begin to come together as a full, clean picture.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet.
My resentment to my brother Dan for not doing his share to help out our parents when they were sick.
Yeah.
And that was over a period of 4 years. Like whenever something came up, he couldn't be relied on, did not feel obliged,
Sure.
nothing.
Sure.
So all of mine were around that.
All right. And who are you? Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. So how it affected my self-esteem. So I'm valuable, as is my time. My brother's actions show that he thinks only his own time and resources are important.
Okay, so it's not wait. It's not about your brother. All of those comments in the self-esteem are irrelevant. Try to avoid that.
Yeah, because I was thinking, so one of the things that's different about your format that throws me off a little bit is because there's that underneath where I'm saying when I resent my brother Dan for not doing his share, did it hurt, threaten, or interfere with my self-esteem?
Yeah.
Because so that sort of says it's not just me talking about my self-esteem, but how he affected my self-esteem.
Yes.
And that's how I'm used to doing the 4-step as well.
Okay, so I hope you're adopting the set-aside attitude in prayer, and I never want to hear you say, I used to do this.
Oh, no, this is how I understand the 4th-step process, is I'm looking at how his behavior.
But wait. No, we're done with his behavior.
Okay.
We're done with his behavior. Now we're talking about your reaction, and we're trying to figure out your belief about who you are. So without referencing your brother at all in this answer to the question self-esteem, can you just answer the question from your writing, what you wrote? Answer the question, fill in the blanks, I am.
Okay. So I'm valuable, as is my time. I'm a good daughter. I am a good sister.
All right. And what's your fear?
Fear is that my time and resources are not valued, that I'm not valued, nor my considerations.
All right. Yep.
By
Nice.
those in my family or others.
Yeah, very clear. All right. And in pride, what did you write? You're on the stage, brother. How do you want your family to see your brother treating you?
So others should see me all of us getting along as siblings, and my brother treating me and our parents with respect, sharing our parents' elder year concerns.
Yeah. Okay, so that didn't tell me much about you there. You feel that you're worthy of respect. That's one thing I got out of that. So could you amplify it a little bit?
Sure. So I also, as far as I believe that, so in terms of how other people are seeing me treated.
It's not how they're seeing you. It's how do you want them in the ideal world, you're on a stage with your brother, you're discussing his responsibilities to take care of and share the burden. How would you like the audience to see him treating you? In the ideal world, your brother should be looking at you as, and the audience should see this respect and fill in the blank. What else?
Just courtesy and consideration. I think consideration for
Okay, so I'm worthy of his
other obligations in
I'm
my life.
worthy of his courtesy. Okay, you're being pretty timid and pretty tame with regard to this. I mean, it's okay. It's just I've asked people to stretch it. In other words, I think you probably have a fairly good and solid and high opinion of yourself. But it's not evident in the words that you're using. It's evident in your tone and your facial expressions.
Okay.
But it's not evident in the words you're using.
Yeah. I just don't want to do too much dialoguing and get sort of my hand slapped. Sorry.
So you're afraid of me.
Yes. Sometimes I'm uncomfortable by the dialogue you have with people. I'm just going to be honest.
Of course.
I not share. I wrote a bunch of stuff, but a lot of it is sort of how I feel he affected me.
Yeah, no, you're very good at taking his inventory.
Well, I think for me, when I was looking at it from a lot of my writing was how he affected me. Like, so when I look at how he affected his behavior, this is just to kind of give you a sense of where I was coming from when I did my writing, how it affected my self-esteem and pride, is that I felt that I had to take a disproportionate amount of sort of suffering and based on his not stepping up, because
you're swimming in a pool of self-pity.
Well, no, I'm just saying, so what I'm telling you is I have certain values, right?
Oh, I know I haven't heard any of those yet. So who are you? Tell me about your self-esteem and your values. That's good.
So my self-esteem and values come from acting in a certain way with others. So that's how I was taught. I was taught you take care of your family, you take care of your parents, you honor your mother and father, you show respect, you treat people a certain way. And that's core to how I operate in the world.
I am a sister and a daughter of high virtue, high standards, high principles. I am the absolute mega daughter. Everybody would want a daughter like me.
Well said.
And now we're connecting. It's nice to see you smile. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There we go. Now we're getting down to this, right? Yes. And this twerp of a brother of mine is not appreciating the standards that he needs to live up to because they're my standards.
Yes. Perfect. That's very true. That's exactly what I think.
Let's go on with ambition then. Thanks. I'm glad we cracked that one open.
So what do I want? I want him to step up and offer the help when our parent needs help.
Yeah. And your fear is?
Well, so I also was saying, as far as my wants, I want. So I also don't want to have to. I didn't want to have to take all of the, the time from work, the expenses, because I'm out of state. These things are flights away. Which could hurt my career, my pocketbook. So that's kind of how I looked at like my ambition. And how having to meet this standard or these values affects my career and my life and my personal concerns.
Yeah. All very legitimate observations. Absolutely. Yep.
Certainly my fear was around that, my parents or family would be let down if they don't get this care or put in a bad situation. Therefore, I have to step up, right? So I have to step up is my value, because if somebody has to do this thing and to these standards, and if he doesn't, I have to. And the fear is just that if I did not, that then they would be hurt or maimed, or they wouldn't get what they needed. They would be sort of abandoned.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so about security, what do you need and why?
I need to be loved. I need others to believe I am loyal, faithful, a good daughter. I need other people to share my suffering with me, to care about me. and it's also important to me that they feel that I'm like, it's always been important. I definitely was the good girl type, and I wanted my parents to love me and acknowledge and feel that I was a good daughter and I was fulfilling my role as a good daughter.
Yeah.
And that I do have a problem with getting my value from validation from others.
Yeah, it's a human thing. Don't to anybody take that overly personal. It's a very human dynamic, and we just need to manage it. That's all. Yeah, yeah. And your fear?
So a lot of my fear just had to do with being judged for not making sure my mom was okay or my dad was okay.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of my fear was around having to go through this painful process of helping my dad when he died and having to do it without help. Because, and I wrapped it all up, and my dad was sick over a course of years, and I went into just an ugly relapse. And the whole time I was caregiving while he was dying and I don't have any healthcare experience, and home hospice was rather traumatic for me.
Yeah.
I was just an ugly relapse, and every time I got a break from the house, I would go binge, and
sure.
And it just was a lot of just fear that I was not going to be okay at the end of this.
Yeah.
That I would lose my marriage, lose my life,
your career, your time.
What I was.
Yeah. Wow. Overwhelming, actually. Yeah. What about gender?
The way that translated for me, at first I thought, well, that doesn't really apply here, but in the sense that I realized gender in the sense of sons and daughters. Sons and daughters.
Or brothers and sisters.
Or brothers and sisters are equally responsible for the care of their parents, and that sons and daughters should both try to help their aging parents.
Yeah.
And that sons aren't more important than daughters. And one of my, things that gets wrapped up without getting into the dialoguing or story too much was that when my older brother was killed, and I was the one who was there to witness it, one of the things my dad said in his drunkenness was, Dan is the only son I have left. And he made much of that. And so I think my brother, and to me, we all internalize that differently. Sure. So my belief is that's not true, that he's not more valuable in the family just because he shares the last name or what have you.
Yeah.
Part of that culture.
Yeah.
I reject that.
Definitely potentially a cultural thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And your fear around that?
Fear, well, sort of there's that fear that one of the fears is about my relationship with my brother is that's the connection with my niece and nephew. And I feel also as a good aunt, right? That's also one of my roles. Yeah. I feel obligated to be a good aunt and to have a relationship with them and to treat them equally to my other nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
He is that connection to them. And my fear is that if I'm estranged from him, that my niece and nephew won't get what they need and I won't be able to live up to that standard how I treat the other kids.
Yes.
And fairness is really important to me of how they're treated.
Yes.
Another just side note is my dad, part of this unhealthy codependent thing, he asked me on his deathbed if I could make sure my niece is okay, my brother's daughter. Okay. She's a compulsive overeater, so he kind of dumped that on me at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
So that was also in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't expect to be able to make her okay, but I can certainly try to have a relationship with her, which could be blocked by this relationship with
So let's just reframe the vocabulary. He expressed a dying wish. He didn't dump anything on you. You could receive it as a recipient from a dumpster. That's your choice. But he just expressed a dying wish. Now, my sense is that you would be a responsible aunt anyway, and you would want to help out where you can, especially given that you have some tools for a solution in a particular area of difficulty.
Yeah, he did say it as a command, but just as a
So wait. There's where your belief is. You need to really look at that. Oh, he's just a man. Yes, he's your father. Yes, you loved him. Yes, you respect him. Yes, you honor him. Absolutely. But he's not your God. And you're an adult woman now. He's not your parent even in that sense. So you hear him And then you process and accept what it is you want from that information. There's nothing gospel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Well, at least from my standpoint. I'm just challenging your sort of automatic need to obey. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. One of my other fears that came up, that just kind of came up later, was that, and it kind of goes in the gender, is that I have 2 sons. I don't have any daughters. One of my fears is that my sons would be like my brother.
Yeah. Well, did we do pocketbook? I'm not sure.
Pocketbook, not yet. What is my affected values for money? Nothing should interfere with, affect, or lessen my. So with regard to the financials, I kind of wrote this as I had to consistently pay a lot of money to travel back and forth from Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina to help my dad when he had his stroke, cancer treatments, hospice. So that was how it affected my family's finances, is that I spent a lot of money and took a lot of time off from work.
Yeah.
So that certainly affected my family's potential finances.
Yeah, very tough times. Yep. And your fear?
Fear that, a lot of fear that it would be rejected by my husband. He was very supportive, but just fear that, either I could lose my job for being away so long, we would lose money. We wouldn't have enough money to pay for like my son's college. My son was going to college.
Yep.
So a lot of financial fear of not having enough.
So as you wrote it out, and as we now have dialogued about it, quite frankly, I hope you enjoyed it. I did, but you. So what is your experience now with this situation and your beliefs?
Well, I know we're not getting to that column yet, but I can certainly see that what I bring to it is I have expectations on him, not just on myself. So I have high expectations of myself.
Yeah.
And I expect others to follow this certain standard.
That's the worm in the wood right there. Yep. And you can believe and think anything you want, but is it practical and is it realistic?
Not. It is absolutely not.
And so I'm very practical. I try to see reality as it is, and I adjust me to reality. I don't mean compromise. I don't mean that. I mean, I just adjust to reality. If the wall is 8 feet high, I know I'm not going to be able to jump over it, so I stop running at it. And I need to find another way. Maybe build a ladder, or maybe go around the side, or maybe get a pole vault, whatever, but I'm not going to run directly into and through the wall. So if my brother is like that, and he probably had a consistent pattern in his adult behavior this way, he's not going to change based on circumstances. Now, you're correct in hoping, but again, each of us needs to be realistic. People don't change unless they personally have enough pain and they're motivated to do the work that we're doing. And you can see the pain. People, have expressed it. And then over time, as we apply these instructions and these assignments and this methodology, we change. We are changed. You're smiling because of something. What happened?
Now I'm just thinking about the conversation we've had so far. Sorry.
Yeah. You want to share anything about that?
Oh, no, just that I was very straightforward in my fear about being the person in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah. No, I love straightforward. I love confrontation. I love dialogue that's strong like that. That's wonderful. Yeah. And
sometimes I embarrass myself later. That's what the laughing is.
Oh, well, no, I don't think you embarrassed yourself at all from my standpoint. And I hope it was helpful.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. All right. Wonderful.
When I resent the Catholic Church for making me feel dirty and separate from my body, what is my deep belief about who I am? I am created in the image and likeness of God. I am a goddess, and my innate goodness and beauty are beyond compare. What is my fear? I am dirty. I am nothing. I am a sinner.
What's your pride?
How do I want other people to see the church treating me? The Catholic Church should preach from the pulpit, talk about the beauty of my humanity, all of my beauty, mind, body, and soul. It should bow down and apologize to me for its many years of squelching me and its distorted thinking and voyeurism into my bedroom. What is my fear?
Yeah.
I will never be accepted, and I will always be an outcast.
Okay, let's do some work here. This is a really important one. It's a sacred one for you and many people. And I would like to do a little bit of work with self-esteem and pride. So, but what would be your dream relationship in terms of the church treating you? How would you like the world, your parents, your family, your parish, your people in the congregation seeing the church on the stage treating you because of what they see in you? And you made the point already that you're just one of the human race, and so your hope would be that they would treat all people this way. So I'm not singling you out to make you, quote, that special, unique person, but I'm trying to get a sense of who do you believe you are as a human being in the presence of the church? Can you just can you make words up or look at what you wrote and try to weave a tapestry here based on I am?
I am beautiful. My soul and body and mind are beautiful.
All right. So now read what you wrote in both self-esteem and pride again.
Okay. All right. So in self-esteem, I wrote, I am created in the image and likeness of God. I am a goddess, and my innate goodness and beauty are beyond compare.
Okay, that's actually quite good. Yeah, all right. And so do the pride thing.
So the pride that I wrote was the Catholic Church or the church should preach or speak.
No, don't do the preach part. I did that just got in the way of my sense of you having a sense of belief. You don't talk about what they should be doing, but talk about what they're seeing when they're seeing you.
When the church, looks at me, they should see all of me, my mind, my body, my soul, my humanity, the beauty of my sexuality, the beauty of my being, and that none of that is separate, that it is all sacred and holy.
Yeah, knowing and respecting my full humanity.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I felt was kind of missing. As you repeated the self-esteem, though, I hadn't heard it as deeply as when you read it out the second time. So that let's move on to ambition.
What do I want? I want an apology from the church for its backwards thinking and the deep pain that its teachings have created within me, and a change in the dogma and the way it approaches human sexuality.
Yeah. And your fear is?
I'll always be stuck and boxed in and shackled by its teachings, and I'll never be free.
Yeah. Security.
What do I need?
And why?
I need to feel loved and accepted by my church, because that love and acceptance makes me feel safe.
Yeah. I need to feel safe in my church. It's a sanctuary. I want a sanctuary of safety. Yeah, that's very cool. All right. And your fear
is I will never be accepted by my church the way that I am. I will never feel accepted and loved by my church.
Yeah. Personal relations.
I expect the church to see me, the whole of me, in my sacred beauty.
Yeah.
And I will never be totally accepted, and I will always feel less than.
Yeah. Gender.
A healthy church should always embrace its, well, is it about me, or can this be general? I wrote. A healthy church should always embrace the members of its congregation as they are, and not as the church wants to mold them.
Yeah.
And a member of the congregation should always be true to who they are and be an active participant and contribute to the well-being of its church.
Yeah. And your fear is?
I'll always be stuck in a dead church, and my voice will never be heard.
Yeah. Was there any gender exploration there in terms of males in the church or females in the church?
I think I did have that early on, because there's a little side note on one of my sheets about patriarchy. Yeah.
I suspected so. I mean, that would just go hand in glove with it, wouldn't it? Yeah. Right. Pocketbook.
Pocketbook was nothing should interfere with, affect, or lessen my beautiful spirit.
And your fear is?
I'll always be less than, and I'll always be dirty.
As long as I'm connected to the church.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what was your experience in writing it out? Because clearly you've written more than even you've read there. You told me about some notes. And now in verbalizing it, what's your experience about your beliefs?
So it's been a long time coming, and I think probably they were on my sheet 2 years ago when I went through your program. But what is happening to me is a freedom already. There's still a little fear there of all these teachings, but I'm pushing out against that, the smallness of it. I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to, I guess, find my voice and feeling and claiming that. I don't know whether that makes any sense.
Makes total sense, and I want to ask a couple more questions, though. When you refer to smallness, what is it that you're seeing or attempting to explain?
So for so many years, this idea, right, it floating around in my mind about this power and control and this fear that I was created for so much more than that, right? It's like almost this constricting, that now as I'm growing, this religion is constricting me, and it's not allowing me to be who I believe the divine has created me to be. It doesn't fit.
So whose smallness were you referring to?
I played small.
Yes.
I played small.
And the church is playing small.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love the way but I didn't know what you meant by it, but now you're unpacking it. So that's great. Not here to solve problems in the sense that you've made them clear here, but are you familiar with Richard Rohr, R-O-H-R, as a Franciscan priest? All right. He has the most healthy approach, understanding, and manifestation of the Catholic Church that I've ever encountered. Now, some people don't like his liberal orientation. I'm not a liberal in the sense of the current jargon, but I'm a liberal in the sense of a Richard Rohr. This broad, not small at all, but universal, all right, embracing of our humanity. And so I don't normally bring in a solution like that, but for you, I think that to become more familiar with his teaching would be very helpful to you as you're honoring your image and likeness.
Thank you, Herb. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Richard Rohr, and Cynthia Bourgeois and all of them. So I don't, and I'm trying to be gentle with myself and not, I'm here, saying, why did I wait so long?
Yeah.
This is just the way it has unfolded.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah. And that's just part of the process also of our looking back over our shoulder, judging ourselves with a little bit of regret, and then moving on because it's not healthy, it's not productive. Yeah. All right. Thanks very much.
When I resent my fiance, David, for his cigar smoking.
So what's your self-esteem?
I am a woman who wants to lead a healthy lifestyle without having to deal with the smell of a cigar, the smoke.
Okay, that sounds a little bit more like ambition to me. So get underneath that and tell me who you are as a person. What did you write in Pride?
Others should see David treating me with respect about the smell.
All right. So it's a bit timid and mild. What you have a belief is that you're a respectable, healthy woman, right?
Yes.
But put yourself on the stage with David and kind of look inside of yourself. What is the actual ingredients that you see that you're holding? You believe this is who I am. And you really wish that he would intuitively see this with his X-ray vision.
He says he does see it.
Well, don't tell me what he says, because that's not my question. Answer my question. And that people need to change to suit me. Is that what you said? Yeah.
And to be with me. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm saying that is the key belief that you surfaced in this conversation, as I see it.
My resentment is my reaction to something that was done to my children, not to me directly.
But you have a resentment.
But I have the resentment, so it's
the resentment.
Okay, the resentment is I resent Ray, my father-in-law, for not treating all his grandchildren equally in his will. There were two.
Yeah, it's fine. I get it. No, we don't need the details.
Okay.
So what's your self-esteem?
Self-esteem. I am a loving, open-hearted, giving, supportive, person, intelligent, educated, fun-loving, deserving of respect and love. I am the best, most caring, thoughtful, inclusive daughter-in-law Ray will ever have. And I've embraced my stepson and daughter wholeheartedly, making a serene and secure and loving place for them in our blended family.
And your fear is?
That deep down, Ray thought of me and my children as the second string, as not as important.
All right. Okay. So these are your grandchildren by birth and his by acquisition.
Yes, that's
Got it, got it. No, I just wanted to be clear. All right. So pride.
Okay, my pride. Others should see Ray embracing me and my children with a loving heart and openness, valuing me and them for the fabulous people we are and the vitality and richness we add to his family, for loving his son and making a secure, loving home for David's children. We are the frosting on the cake in their family.
All right. And your fear?
Is that Ray never valued us. We were only tolerated.
All right. Yep. Ambition?
Okay, my ambition. I want Ray to love and value me and my children as he does all others in his family. I want Ray to treat my children equally in all ways as he does his blood grandchildren, whatever you call it. There's no good word.
No, that's descriptive. That's good communication. What's your fear?
My fear is that his acceptance was not total, was not real, was not genuine.
All right, absolutely. And security, what do you need and why?
Okay, I need Ray to treat my children equally.
Yeah, and why?
Because when he didn't, he created a vision that none of us thought was there. He hurt one of them very, very deeply. And nobody.
Well, all right. So why is so that people don't get hurt.
Okay, yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. And your fear?
My fear is that neither me or my children will ever be seen as good enough.
All right. Yep. Personal relations?
Okay. And then I did father-in-laws and daughter-in-laws.
Wait. Personal relations?
Shoot, I skipped 5. I don't know how I did.
Okay, forget it. Let's do gender then. That's fine.
Okay. So, gender. An ideal father-in-law should be welcoming, fair, considerate, open-minded, respectful, and genuinely loving of his new relatives that come into the family by marriage. And then I had in parentheses, if they can't, they shouldn't pretend to be part and be polite and only let their true feelings show in their will.
Yep. And your fear?
My fear is that we didn't make the grade. We're never going to be good enough.
Fear. Yep. Good. All right. And what other gender did you have in there?
Daughter-in-law myself. My second marriage should be daughter-in-law should be open-minded, welcoming, respectful, and loving to members of the family in which they're marrying. And they should be realistic about the second daughter-in-laws. My second marriage should be realistic about their place in the family into which they're marrying.
And your fear is?
Yeah, that I thought we had made the grade, but I missed the message.
All right. And pocketbook.
Okay, a pocketbook. Nothing and nobody should interfere with any of my children's or my emotional well-being.
Yeah. And your fear? And your fear?
Again, that we're just never going to measure up. We never did, and we won't.
All right. All right. Now, the same question I ask everybody, but I try to give it a little bit of a different flavor each time to make it innovative. And so you wrote it out. You've got a lot of energy about it because you used a lot of words about it. You said you talked to a lot of people about it, and now you wrote it out and you've read it out to me, and we've had some dialogue. Can you give me a sense of your experience with what it is you believe?
The thing that came up up to me when I was finished writing this yesterday. I just started crying, and I came down with, nobody should hurt my children.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yes.
I don't care how old they are,
Yes.
if they're
Yes.
10 or 20 or 50.
And life should be fair.
Yeah, life. Yeah.
Underneath everything that you said, and in most of it, you used in the pride, in the gender, in many of the other, you used the word should.
Yeah, okay.
And that reveals your belief.
Okay.
That believes your script.
Yeah.
That reveals your story about reality.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just pointing that out at this point for you, and to just hold it and look at, is this belief realistic? Is this belief healthy? It's not about right or wrong. It's just like, does it work in life? You know, and we're not at the fourth column yet. And the fourth column will pull the curtain back on the motives. But right now, I'm trying to pull the curtain back on the beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your response to my comments right now?
That
your shoulds, your beliefs, your relationship with reality.
That I'm out of touch with reality.
Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if life were fair?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Herb. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the fourth column brings it home. And so we'll do that work when you've done that work. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here and being so generous with your time and your lives. Very courageous, very vulnerable. And that's the kind of work that we do here. And the group allows and fosters because, as you can see, we trust one another. Thanks so much. Join me in the Serenity Prayer, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.